talk about the New York Giants because this team just went 6-11, and that's very disappointing for this team because just the year before they made the NFL playoffs and they beat the Minnesota Vikings in a playoff game, and they played so well that Daniel Jones went out there and got a contract extension with this team in the offseason. And this season was abysmal. 2-6, and they got their season off to a rough start against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have been tormenting this team for the last couple of years. It's getting ridiculous at this point. It's like every single time you see the Giants and the Cowboys play, you already know it's a good chance the Dallas Cowboys are going to give it to them. But Daniel Jones has to be better moving forward. 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Yes, his season was cut short because he tore his ACL against the Las Vegas Raiders, but let's not act like before he got injured that he was playing very well. And it's not all on Daniel Jones. This offensive line was abysmal for the first half of the season, even on the back half of the season. They're terrible. Andrew Thomas missed some time this season, but Andrew Thomas is still their best offensive lineman, and he's very good. He's a very good tackle with this team. Evan Neal is a bust at the tackle position. It's time to give up and cut bait. Either put him at guard or just keep him on the sideline because he is terrible. I would really like to see him be a right guard with this team because he has the body and the makeup for it. But he reminds me a lot of Eric Flowers at that tackle position. He can't block anybody at all. He is terrible. And the rest of the offensive line needs to be better as well. Now, they did draft John Michael Schmitz at the center position. He was just a rookie. You hope that he can get better. They just fired their offensive lineman coach. So hopefully you bring in a brand new offensive lineman coach and he can come in and he can fix this. But this offensive line has been horrible for the past 8 to 10 years. They can't block anybody. And I'm surprised that Saquon Barkley is able to go out there and get some rushing lanes majority of the time because this is how bad this offensive line is. It's no protection for Tyrod Taylor. There's no protection for Tommy DeVito. And there was no protection for Daniel Jones. The only difference between all those quarterbacks is that Daniel Jones holds onto the football longer than all the other guys. That's the one thing. Daniel Jones is going to hold on to the football. So a lot of the sacks look like it's on the offensive line, but at the same time, it's on Daniel Jones as well. Just let the football go. You look at what happened against the Seattle Seahawks. And Brian Daboll's doing everything that he can in that Monday Night Football game to shift protection, get some things going, do some tunnel screens. Daniel Jones is just holding on to the football. Then he throws a dumb interception in the back of the red zone. It's situations like that. Daniel Jones is not a young quarterback anymore. This is not year 2 or 3 for him. This is a guy that's been in the NFL for some years now. And last season, he did a very good job of not taking care of the football. This season that just passed, not so much. The fumble started to come back. The dumb interception started to come back. And like I mentioned before, it's not all on him. One of his interceptions were horrendous. He threw the ball to Saquon Barkley. The ball pops up in the air. The defender hit Saquon Barkley so hard. Then the fact that he did not have complete possession of it takes the ball back for a touchdown. That's an interception. That's not on Daniel Jones. So a lot of it is not on Daniel Jones, but he's not fixing the problems. So fix the offensive line and also explore quarterbacks this offseason in the NFL draft. This is a Giants team that has a relatively high pick in the first round. And you traded Leonard Williams for a second round pick to the Seattle Seahawks. So you could use that pick to move up in the NFL draft as well. It's the possibility that the New York Giants will have a brand new starting quarterback next season. Just because he has that contract extension means nothing. Brian Daboll had Kenny Galladay on this roster a couple years ago. He couldn't catch anything. He put him on the bench and said, you know what? We're doing better without you. We don't need you on the field. If he feels that way about Daniel Jones, they should let him go out there and pick his own quarterback because Brian Daboll is more essential to this team than Daniel Jones. When Brian Daboll showed up, they make the NFL playoffs. Daniel Jones has been through a lot of horrible coaches. Joe Judge was a terrible head coach. Jason Garrett was a terrible offensive coordinator. But at the same time, Daniel Jones did not have that much success with this team. So they're going to have to figure that out. And I do think that it starts with the offensive line. It also starts with that quarterback position as well. Saquon Barkley is scheduled to be a free agent. This is a guy that they franchise tag. It was a huge debate. Do you pay Daniel Jones? Do you franchise tag Saquon Barkley? I'm not going to lie to you. I was one of those people saying pay Daniel Jones and then just go out and franchise tag the running back because that's what Saquon Barkley is. He's a running back. And he's always dealing with injuries. Very good player, a generational running back. But at the same time, look at that position. 962 rushing yards on the season, 6 rushing touchdowns, average 4 yards a carry. They can bring him back on a 2 to 3 year deal, or they can try to franchise tag him again, I believe. But they should be looking into bringing back Saquon Barkley as well. The wide receivers for this team, they're good enough. They still do not have a true number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion. Darius Slayton had a solid season, 770 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson is a very interesting wide receiver. He missed a lot of time his rookie season dealing with a torn ACL, so he only played a few games. But 525 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown this season, I think that he can be a very good number 2 moving forward. I think that he needs to continue to be developed, and I think that he can get some things going with the right quarterback. And I look at Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is a speedster. Did not have a receiving touchdown this season. Looked very good in the preseason. He's a guy that's going to have to work on his route tree because besides running a post and a go route, the routes aren't there just yet, and that's okay because he's very fast. If you give him the right quarterback, he can be used to that next level, but they have to get him going as well. Darren Waller is a solid tight end. He will never be that tight end that he once was for the Las Vegas Raiders a couple years ago when he had over 1,000 receiving yards at that position, 552 receiving yards on the season and 1 receiving touchdown. I think that he's just good enough. He's going to always deal with injuries because it's soft tissue injuries. His body has been through a lot. It's been through a lot because the Las Vegas Raiders put him through a lot. So he's one of those tight ends. He's not horrible, but he can be very good for you as well if you have a young quarterback. He's one of those tight ends that you look for when you need a big play here and there. That's what he is right now. Not calling him a bad tight end, but that is what he is. And he can still burn past safeties and linebackers. So he still has a very good skill set. He just can't stay healthy. And he does drop the football from time to time. But he's good enough to stay with this roster. Daniel Bellinger, very good backup tight end, had a solid rookie season before he hurt his eye. I would like to see more of him on the field as well. But the offensive line is the biggest issue with this offense. It's an even bigger issue than Daniel Jones because a very good offensive line can make an average quarterback look very good, and it can make a below average quarterback look average. Fix that offensive line. There's no reason that we're going on 5 to 10 years why this offensive line has been terrible. And I look at their defense. No more Wink Martindale. He just resigned. He's been with this team for the last 2 years, looked very good a year ago, and he had a lot of disagreements with Brian Daboll this season. I know that Brian Daboll came out and made a joke about it. That was true because he just resigned, and he no longer wants to be with this team. They're going to part ways. So he's going to go out there and probably find another defensive coordinator job because he's a very good defensive mind, but the secondary needs work as well. I'm worried about Deonte Banks. He is just a rookie, but he did not look good this season, especially in man coverage. And this is a guy they drafted from Maryland to come in and be a press man corner to fit Wink Martindale's system. Has not looked good. Adoree Jackson looked solid a season ago. This season, he was burnt toast. Couldn't cover anyone. He was getting burnt all over the place. Very good on slant routes and post routes as well. But when you get upfield, he can't cover you. Like Deebo Samuel did in that Thursday night football game. He was guessing the inside so much, Deebo just beat him on the outside. And the same against CeeDee Lamb. He's one of those corners. He can't guard the true number 1 wide receiver. He's at his best when he's a number 2 to number 3 wide receiver, number 3 corner, in my opinion. That's when I think Adoree Jackson's at his best. But you do have some bright spots on this defense. Kayvon Thibodeau is a dog. I'm a big Kayvon Thibodeau fan, even going back to Oregon. I'm happy to see that his career is panning out. This guy right here is a beast. 11.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Yes, he got off to a slow start of the season, but this kid's a baller. I think that he's going to be a premier pass rusher for this team for the next couple of years. Bobby Okereke is also a dog for this team that they got in free agency from the Indianapolis Colts. 2.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. And he was 7th and leading the league in tackles. I love it. Keep him with this roster as well, because that was one of the weaknesses with the Giants last season. They couldn't stop the run. You had Jalen Smith out there, and we all know Jalen Smith was no good. No disrespect towards him, but he wasn't the same linebacker he was with the Cowboys. Bobby Okereke came in, stopped the run, and was able to go out there and contain the running backs as well. It just went under the radar because the New York Giants are such a bad football team. And you also have Jihad Ward as well, 5 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. You can bring him back as well. I think he's a very good defensive tackle to have with this team, a very good defensive lineman in general at that end spot. So you have a lot of good things going on with the Giants. Just the overall scheme of things, it just doesn't look good because Daniel Jones has not looked good the last time we saw him. He has that ugly contract that you can move off in the next 2 years. Their NFL draft pick is relatively high, but you're going to have to move up to get a guy like Michael Penix or Drake May. I would love to see Drake May with Brian Daboll, but that may just be thinking at this point. I don't think that's a realistic possibility, but you never know. Because the Chicago Bears hold the first pick. Maybe you could trade up with them. You try to get Caleb Williams, a guy like that. I don't think that Daniel Jones is the right guy for the next 3 to 5 years. Matter of fact, I know that he's not. I think that he played very well a season ago, and I did say go out there and pay him, but I thought he was going to play at that level. I think at his best, he's just a serviceable quarterback. At his best, he's a top 15 quarterback. I don't ever think that he'll be in that top 10 to top 5 range. And that's something that you're going to need to make deep playoff runs right now. And the Giants have good players. They're developing and they have the right head coach. As long as you have Brian Dable, you should be in a very good situation. But they had to fix the offensive line. So let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the New York Giants and what should they do in this offseason? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last win, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.